back to the vlog. How you guys doing today? So yeah, guys, I am back. It's been like 3 weeks. I've been kind of busy. I haven't really had time to work on the car, but we are back, guys, and I'm gonna try to pick up where I left off at. The last thing we did was the hybrid conversion harness on the car. So I ended up pulling out, I didn't run it yet, but I ended up taking out the coolant temperature sensor. And like I said, that I gotta do a little wire tuck and kind of make its way around and put the sensor in here. I'll worry about that later on, but I got it through the firewall now. See what else. So I ended up mounting my KPro to the factory location, and I kind of did a tuck a little bit and tucked all the cables that's supposed to be for the harness, zip tied it, and that's the connection right here. So yeah, guys, that's what we did with that. But for today's episode, we're gonna be installing my gauge pod and my 3 gauges. I have my air fuel ratio gauge, boost gauge, and oil pressure. So yeah, I'm gonna be installing that. This car already had the AFR gauge already installed, so the power's already there. So I'm pretty much just gonna tap right into that, and yeah, it's gonna be a quick, easy installation. I already ran the boost gauge. I plugged it in here, kind of ran it through the back here, and it goes around, and it goes into the engine harness. And same thing with the oil pressure gauge. It's this one right here, and that runs in too, and then drops through here. You see both the cables, they both come in through there, and then I threw them across there. So yeah, guys, that's what we're gonna be doing today. So we're gonna get right to it. Let's get it. All right, guys, so real quick, I wanted to show you, I already have the air fuel ratio gauge already installed in this car. It already has power and it already has ground. So I'm going to tap into the power and the ground from this one to power up the other 2 gauges. And right here, I'll show you the ground. And this is the power, and it goes right into the fuse box right here. This cable right there. So that's the power. Here I have my boost gauge wire, and I have my oil pressure gauge wire. So I still need to tuck all the wires and stuff, but I still need to connect it. It still needs power and ground, and the same thing for my boost gauge, power and ground. So yeah, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started, and what I'm gonna do is use my little distribution box, or where did I put it? Right here. And I'm gonna splice into the ground, and I'm gonna distribute the grounds for the other ones. All right, that one's on. So this is the air fuel ratio ground. All right, so that's hooked up, and now we're gonna do the oil gauge. So same thing, we're gonna run power and ground. That one's hooked up. Now I'm gonna need oil gauge. So same thing, we're gonna take the ground. So all the grounds are hooked up pretty much. And all I need to do now is splice into the power. And everything has power and ground, guys. No, it's very simple. Very simple, guys. Very, very simple. I use one of these. Use a blue one. So all I got to do now is just take this off, run the cables up, drill through this, and we could put this guy on right here. Alright guys, so everything's installed as far as power and ground. So now I gotta just remove this thing off, and yeah. I hope that. Alright, so this thing is off, guys. So now, what I'm gonna do is run the cables up. So the first gauge that I want on top is going to be, should we put on top? Air fars on top, and then boost gauge in the middle. All right. So this is air fars right here. Alright, and the next two is going to be the oil and the boost gauge. So let's run this through. Attach it to this one, and this one can pull it through. Make things easier. Oh damn, wow. I just dropped the whole thing. Alright guys, so now what's next is drill holes through this thing so I can run the cables through, and then match this thing up. So yeah, we're gonna get that. Let me just line it up real quick. Here, hold that. See this? Alright guys, so what I gotta do now is drill some holes, and they used to come with screws, but now they come with these little like push pins, and I just gotta drill holes and then I can push it through and that's it. So I'm gonna line this up right here. You wanna grab the drill, bro, and put it right there, yep. Put it on right here. Yep. All the way. Install one more right here. Alright, so all we gotta do now, guys, is drill holes through the back of this, so that way I'll be able to run the cables through. I'm gonna start at the top. Hopefully this is right. And I'm gonna make 2 holes because that way all the cables fit. We got our first hole. Now we need our second hole. Alright guys, and all we gotta do now is just put our gauges and install. Let's go. So our first cable. This is a boost. Now all I gotta do with these cables is just tuck them. I'm gonna hide them under here, so I'll do that in a minute. So the first gauge that we're gonna install is gonna be our air fuel ratio gauge. So we got our first gauge on there. And then the second one is going to be our boost gauge. We got our boost gauge, and last one is going to be our oil pressure gauge. Alright guys, we got all our gauges installed, and now moment of truth is to see if they have power. Alright guys, moment of truth. So we got our boost gauge, all of our sensors are hooked up, so woohoo! We're done with that. And then the last thing that we need to do is run the cable from the air fuel ratio to the KPro, and that's it for this video guys. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tuck all these cables real quick and we'll get right back to it. All right guys, so what I'm gonna do now is connect my air fuel ratio gauge to my KPro. So when you get KPro, they come with like a little bunch of cables, like a little harness, and it's a bunch of little cables like this, and that plugs inside of the KPro, and then you run it to the outside of the computer like this. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna use the black cable, this one here, and I'm gonna connect it to my white cable here. So that's what I'm gonna do, and then I'll figure it out on KPro which that was. I believe they're like numbered. It was like 1 through 10 or something like that. But I'll figure out which number that is, and that's the one I'm gonna use. So yeah, that's it guys. I'm gonna solder that up. And that's it guys. So I have my AFR gauge connected to my KPro. So I'm gonna mount that back to the corner here, and yeah. All right guys, so we are done. I'll hit all the cables. I'm gonna take a couple more zip ties and hang all the stuff up. Got KPro on the stock location. So yeah guys, this car's starting to come together. Got all the gauges put on. Also guys, I made a little checklist so that way I can get closer and closer to getting done to this. So all the little things that need to be addressed, I made a little list so that way I can keep track of all of the stuff. But yeah guys, also I went ahead and tucked all the cables down here so nothing is hanging. Everything is nice and organized. Got all the gauges hooked up, and I also have my cluster hooked up. So yeah guys, we're gonna wrap this video up. I appreciate all you guys for watching. Stay tuned. I took my diff to get rebuilt, so the next video should be my diff. So stay tuned for that guys. Appreciate all you guys for watching. Have a good one guys.